time appropriate greeting to you. This is going to be me trying to follow through our instructions to just set up Eclipse for the spring semester here, 2023. So you'll see that I have half of my screen on our course website and the other half has an old Eclipse version that workspace that I'm not going to use. You'll see me set up a new one just like you're going to do. So I'm going to go over to the docs area and find the relevant thing. In this case, I'm going to have to skip over the installation of Java and Eclipse parts because I've done those already. Please don't hesitate to contact us or your TAs if you have trouble with those steps. And I'll just pick up from step 3. Pardon me. I do have my file system structured as suggested in step 0, just for your reference. So, all right, let's see. Step 3. It's going to prompt me to select the workspace location. Okay, so let me go ahead and browse, and I'd like to browse to that location. All right, so this is kind of how I suggest that you set yours up, is with like a 159 folder generally, and then in there'll be a folder that you've created specifically for the workspace. So I'm going to choose that. Okay, you can perhaps scroll over and just confirm it looks correct. And I don't want to, in my case, since I've had some other Eclipse, I don't want to keep any other sort of Eclipse stuff. This is a fresh new thing. No, don't save. So then it shows me this window, and I want to make sure that it does not always show me this welcome. I don't really like this welcome thing, so get out of here. All right, so we've created our workspace and chosen it, so that's great. So now we're on to step 4, install check style. So I'm just going to copy this little code fragment here. And I'll follow the step. Help and install new software. You can't see my help menu. So I want to install check style, and I might have to click some agree stuff here. Do everything you need to, machine. Got to get work done here. Thanks. So you can see down here it's doing some work, and for some reason it keeps resizing my window, so you get to see this fun back here. It says, do you want to do this thing? And I say, yes, please let me do the work that I'm trying to do. That would be great. Restart Eclipse? Sure. All right. So having installed check style, I now need to continue on to step 5, which is set up check style. All right. And so let's see, I need to copy this location. So just click on it until the whole thing is colored. There we go. Some 2-3 times. Copy. Great. And I'm going to go to Window and Preferences. Oh, in my case, it's Eclipse and Preferences, as I remind myself there. Cool. And I'll, in this resulting box, I'll click on check style. Great. I need a new check style configuration. This is a remote configuration. And I'm just going to name that, something helpful so that I know what's going on here. This is for the spring 23 semester of CS159. Paste my location there. You can do it this way as well. Okay, and so then I'll say okay. Great, I've got 3 entries here now. I don't want any other entry to be my default. I actually want this one I've just added to be the default. So that would be great. Let's apply and close. Cool. All right, so we need to set up some code style formatters and the cleaner upper. So we need to put these things somewhere useful, and I think in our workspace directory would be great. So I'm just going to right click, save link as, and I'll navigate to that place, which on mine is an exciting location. And so then I'll go back to my preferences, however I accessed it previously, and I'll find these suggested parts of it. So I'll look for, search for formatter, and I'll choose this area. and I'll choose import, and I'll select the formatter with a double click. Shows it there. That's looking good. Go ahead and apply. Then let's see, we need to also look for cleanup. And again, we'll import, choose that friend, apply. Alrighty, cool. There's more settings we can configure, thank goodness. Alright, so let's see, where do we want to be? We want to be in this startup and shutdown area. And let's go ahead and refresh it. And you may wish it to confirm when closing the last window. I personally do not. It will still confirm if you try to exit when something is unsaved. So I'll just leave it this way. And I'll close it. Down on the bottom right now, I've got this problems tab showing, and I'll use this little vertical ellipsis to make a few settings. So the first one there is to show, right, only those errors and warnings that are on the project. And then I'll also just check, I don't want to group by anything, so I'll say none. Next, I want to take a look at the Java build path. So it's back into our old settings friend here. And however you want to find that, I'm just going to search for build. And I like that it's here where it says folders and that there's separate folders for source and bin for the source code that I'll write, and then the compiled intermediate representation there. So I'll apply that. I'm going to look for some other Java settings here. All right, so I'm going to look for warning. In the warnings, I'm going to come down as it shows in the picture under Java compiler. I'm going to search for leak in this filter box here because there's quite a few options. And I'm going to tell it to go ahead and ignore both of these two options. It's already set for one, so let's just ignore the other as well. Okay, I also want to configure my debugger, so I'm going to search for step in here, like the next image shows. And in this box, I think I typically like most all of the step filters that are available, so I'll just use the select all button and go ahead and apply. Next is one we learned from our TAs last semester. In my section, particular shout out to Ben for hooking us up. So let's search for annotation, and we'll look at the one that's under the text editors here. And what we want to do is find the ones that include the word coverage. So there's 3 of these. So first there's full coverage, and highlighted is fine, but it just turns out that depending on how else you customize your Eclipse view, it can be difficult to read. I'm going to change it to dashed box. I'm going to do the same for no coverage and also for partial coverage. If you find that any of those are not easy enough to notice once you get to this part of the course where we're doing code coverage with JUnit and Jacoco and Ekalema and friends, you can always come back to this and change it to something that stands out a little more for you. All right. You may, like me, wish to have a few more save actions. So let me just search for save up here. Cool. So whenever I save my file, I would like to go ahead and format the source code, everything in the file. Possibly you end up battling your formatter here. I think I won't do much manual formatting of my code, so I'm going to be happy with this. I also like that it says organize imports. Without that, it's possible that we would still be having Checkstyle be angry with us at some point. So I'll apply that. And now let's configure the text editors a bit more. So I'm going to search for margin. In the margin, what is it that I want? I want to show the print margin, and I'll leave it there at 80 because I think that's going to be where Checkstyle would growl at us otherwise. So I'll go ahead and apply. It's just going to show that so I can have an easier time knowing when it's going to end up wrapping. Now I'm going to download one more file to save into my workspace. All right, and so then I will take advantage of this file now to be like a default dictionary for me to add words that may not be actual words or else that are words that aren't understood by my system. So let me search in here for spelling. And I want to let it know under spelling that I want to use a user-defined dictionary. I'll browse, and it's right here in my workspace. Here's my dictionary. Apply that. And I want to configure the code folding settings. So search for fold, and then under the Java editor. And folding is great, so that's kind of cool. And I think one thing that can be confusing is if we permit Eclipse to initially fold things, then especially as we're getting acquainted with Java and Eclipse, we may not realize that some things have been collapsed. So probably at least for the beginning semester, don't let it fold anything by default. Like it'll require you to fold things if you want to collapse the view. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for configuring the settings. So I'll stop here and start a new video to help do a checkup to ensure that all of those things happened the way that we expected. Apply and close. All right.